This story is a true story that happened to my younger sister, Maki. I'm 4 years older than her, and it happened when I was in 5th grade and she was in 1st grade. When Maki first started elementary school, she had a hard time making friends and was quite sad. She didn't want to go to school, which got me pretty worried, and was happy when she finally made a friend after a few weeks. Her friend Haruka was in the same class. She was a little strange, to say the least. How can I describe it? Her aura was so faint that even if she was sitting right in front of you, you'd barely notice her. And she was a very quiet girl. She was expressionless, so you couldn't tell how she was feeling. She was almost like a doll. Haruka came over to our place to play multiple times, but I've never seen her speak once. Even when she was playing with my sister was the one talking the whole time, and she would be silent and only listening. At first I thought Haruka was a very timid girl, but after a while I started to get a bit creeped out by her. The way she looked at my sister, her eyes. They weren't the eyes you'd look at your friends with, and I was secretly hoping that my sister would stop being friends with her. A few months went on, and Maki gradually started to make more friends in class, and so naturally the time spent with Haruka decreased. Haruka, on the other hand, had only one friend in class, and that was my sister. As my sister started to make more friends, Haruka started to become more and more of a loner. That's when their class pet turtle went missing. One student said she'd seen Haruka carrying it home, but Haruka neither denied nor accepted it. She just stayed silent. From this incident, other students started calling her the turtle thief, and they stopped trying to be friendly with her. My sister started to feel pretty annoyed by her too, and she started to avoid Haruka altogether. Regardless of that fact, one day out of the blue, Haruka invited my sister over to her place. She kept asking until my sister finally gave in and said yes. Haruka lived in an apartment complex. It was really old, and when they walked in, there was trash strewn everywhere, and she was hit with a horrible stench. Then she figured out where that stench was coming from. Haruka was standing in the middle of the room, peeing on the tatami floor as if nothing was wrong. My sister couldn't move as she was trying to understand what was going on. Then Haruka said, "Maki, we're friends, aren't we? Starting tomorrow, you should come over to my place every day." No, we're not friends anymore," my sister replied, and she ran out of the house. When she got to school the next day, there was a turtle on her desk. It had been squished and its shell was broken. It was dead. My sister knew instinctively that Haruka did it. According to my sister, from that day on, something changed within Haruka. She started to talk so much it was almost like she was a different person. But the things she talked about were horrible. Did you know that Maki's mom has sex with different men for money? I've seen her do it. Maki's dad apparently killed someone a long time ago and buried the dead body somewhere in their house. I bet you Maki's going to grow up like her mum and have sex for money too. Haruka would repeat these kinds of things to whoever would listen. My sister slowly stopped going to school. When my parents found out what was going on, they called the school straight away and made a complaint. That was when they told us something shocking. Haruka's parents had been missing for some time, and she was living all alone. After this revelation, Haruka transferred to another school. Actually, we don't know if she was put into a facility somewhere or whether her relatives came to get her. With that girl gone, my sister started going to school again. We all thought it was all over. But I, for one, have a few questions. Can a first grader really live by herself? Where did she learn the word sex, and did she actually know what it meant? She was only in 1st grade. My sister had no clue what it meant. Then, Maki told me something a few days later that made my blood run cold. She told me she saw Haruka's dad when she went over that day. She said he didn't look anything like Haruka, but he was there the entire time with a smile on his face. When Haruka was peeing on the floor, he was just looking at her, not saying a word. When he saw my sister, he whispered something into Haruka's ear, and then she said to her, "Maki, we're friends, aren't we? Starting tomorrow, you should come over to my place every day." Who was that man? If it wasn't a hallucination, if it was a real person, and if my sister hadn't run away when she did, what would have happened? This happened when I was in 5th grade. During our breaks, I'd always go to the toilet with 4 or 5 friends because I was scared to go by myself. We talked about boring stuff as we walked. I think toilets are slowly changing into Western toilets now, but at that time, there was only one Western style toilet at the very end. This time around, that stall was locked. What was weird was that from the 5 centimeter gap between the door and the floor, there was almost a full roll of toilet paper spread out all over. They weren't all torn, but still connected. It just looked like someone had unrolled the toilet paper. Looking closely at it, the roll of toilet paper was quickly being sucked back into the stall by whoever was inside, as if they were fixing it up. I could hear the sound that toilet rolls sometimes make when you're getting some paper. You know, that clanking sound. We obviously figured someone was inside and called out, "Hey, who's in there?" No reply. But the toilet paper continued to get sucked in from the gap below the door. I started getting scared and asked my friend what we should do. She wasn't scared and didn't think anything of it and said, "I'm going to stop it," as she stepped on the toilet paper. Whoever was in the stall didn't continue to try, but stopped all movement. Even then, we couldn't hear a single sound coming from inside. Me and my other friends were scared and frozen at the entrance to the toilets, but the one friend who was stepping on the toilet paper was so curious to see who was inside that she stepped up onto the window ledge and peeked into the stall. There's no one. I let out the biggest scream as soon as I heard those words and ran back to the classroom. I was crying and told my teacher what happened. My teacher wasn't the type that believed in ghosts, so I was told that that was impossible. Lessons started shortly after that, and until I graduated that school, I never stepped into those toilets again. It was a truly terrifying experience, being only in 5th grade at the time. The strange thing is that noise. That noise usually only happens when you're getting more paper, the light clanging noise. If you're fixing up a toilet roll, don't you usually use your hands to do so? Then why was it making all that noise as the paper was being sucked back in at that quick speed? It was almost 10 years ago, so this is all I can remember about the incident, but even now I can't unhear that clanging noise. This happened almost 10 years ago. It was a time when public phone booths still lined the streets every few meters. It was a Friday night and the start of a 3-day weekend. I went out with my uni friends for drinks. At 1 a.m., we went to go eat some ramen and called it a night. The last train had gone, and I could have taken a cab but didn't want to feel overly hungover the next day, so I decided to walk home. I didn't have my mobile, so I got into a phone booth, intending to call my mum and let her know I was walking home. At that time, phone booths kind of followed the main roads, and this booth was at the very first bus stop to go home. When I walked in, the smell hit me first, a slight smell of perfume. The receiver was off the hook and sitting on top of the phone. When I picked it up and put my ear to it, the line was already dead and I could only hear the dial tone. Thinking someone drunk just forgot to put it back in its cradle, I put it back in its place. As I did so, a bunch of change came out. 6 10-yen coins. Woohoo! I used 20 yen from that to call my mum and pocketed the remaining 40 yen. When I got to the next payphone at the next bus stop, I felt the need to go check that one out too. Again, the receiver was sitting on top of the phone, and I could smell the same perfume. When I put the receiver back, a bunch of 10 yen came out. This time, 5 of them. The same thing happened for the next 2 payphones, the receiver sitting on top and nothing but a dead dial tone. By this time, I had 19 10-yen coins and was feeling lucky, but a bit weirded out at the same time. At the next payphone, I thought I saw someone walking away from the phone booth, and the smell of perfume was so strong it made me cough. Now I was up to 24 10-yen coins. Then I got to the next one. This time I clearly saw someone walking out of it. I think it was a woman. She was wearing a red dress and looked like she was smiling. I waited until she got far enough and walked into the booth. I put the receiver to my ear and heard someone desperately saying, "Hey, you're Keiko, aren't you? Please stop calling. Please just stop. We can't get any sleep and we're exhausted. Let's just meet and talk properly, okay?" I hung up the phone straight away. A bunch of 10 yen coins came out. "Why did you hang up? Don't disturb my process." When I turned around, the woman in the red dress was standing behind me looking in. I could see her face shadowed by the darkness behind her. She was staring at me with a smile on her face. "Hey," I said, "don't disturb me." She was so damn beautiful that she didn't even look human. Rather than feeling amazed, I could only feel fear. I ran out of the phone booth and ran the entire 2 kilometers back to my house. It probably took about 6 minutes. I threw up my ramen along the way, but I kept running. As soon as I saw my house, I threw out all the 10 yens I'd pocketed. I felt like she was right behind me and would say something to me again. For the next few days, I couldn't get the smell of her perfume out. Didn't matter whether I got changed or took a bath, it didn't go away. Looking back, I still don't know whether that woman was real or something else. In the middle of the night, walking along the main road, I wonder how many times she called that guy. I wonder how many 10 yen coins she had with her. It's something that has stuck with me, and I've never walked home ever since.
Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed this video just as much as the first. Let us know in the comments which one creeped you out the most. And don't forget to like, subscribe and share and hit that notification button so that you don't miss the next one. Cheers!